What is going on, guys? Sticks here with the Token Minorities, bringing you another deck on Pokemon TCGO, and today I am bringing you a legacy deck centered around the combination of Rayquaza-EX and Eelektrik. And yeah, I know this isn't like an original idea, this isn't a unique one, but it's just revisiting an old favorite of mine because I had kind of a somewhat of a revelation about the deck, and revelation is a very strong word, but I just realized something different that I wanted to try out and show you guys. But before I get into the deck, just a reminder that if you guys liked this video or found it helpful, please leave a like, drop a comment, click that subscribe button, it helps us out a ton, and lets us do more cool stuff for you guys. Now, as for the question of the day, so I did Rayquaza-EELS, I think it was like my second or third legacy deck, and this was years and years ago. Like, this was, well, not years and years, it was like 2 years ago, I think, maybe was when I started doing, no, year and a half ago, I think. I don't even remember. But either way, this is one of the first legacy decks that I did. And so normally I try not to repeat a deck unless there is something significantly different. Well, the legacy format really doesn't change a whole lot, and by change a whole lot, I mean it doesn't change apart from banning certain stuff. So you might be wondering, why am I doing that? Well, in particular, because I am trying out Burnt Tower in this deck as the stadium of choice, which leads me to the question of the day. What do you guys think the best stadium for Ray-EELS is, and why? So normally, the stadiums that I see with this deck are, I think, the go-to. Okay, this is like ideal situation. The go-to is Tropical Beach, just because this deck likes to play everything out and then beach their hand up to 7 to end their turn because they can't really attack on their first turn regardless. So that's normally the stadium of choice. However, Tropical Beach is insanely expensive. I'm really lucky to have a couple copies, but because it's so insanely expensive and difficult to get your hands on, a lot of people run Skyla Bridge as a decent secondary stadium because you can combine that with Smeargle. Rayquaza has 1 retreat cost, Tynamo has 1 retreat cost. You can combine it with those guys so that you have free retreat. The one that I'm trying out today that I've been testing and I actually really like is Burnt Tower. Once during each player's turn, that player may flip a coin. If heads, that player searches his or her discard pile for a basic energy and adds it to their hand. So you might be thinking, okay, well, what does that add that like a Super Rod wouldn't immediately do? Well, the issue with Ray-EELS, you have plenty of access to lightning because you run mostly lightning, you use Dynamotor. What the deck relies on is having that fire energy and having it in a timely manner on the Rayquaza. And I will just go ahead and let you guys know now, 3 minutes in, I'm going to be talking about the ideas behind this deck a lot more than usual. So if you just want to see me play, go ahead and skip to the actual game. Because I will be talking quite a bit about the different ideas and why this is, I think, a good idea for this type of deck. So warning in advance, go ahead and skip to the game if you don't want to hear that. But anyway, back to Burnt Tower and why I think this is a deck that you should really consider in Ray-EELS. Because the deck, like I said, plenty of access to lightning. What you really are worried about is the fire energy and whether or not you will be able to get that into your hand in a timely manner and recur that so that Rayquaza and Victini, to a lesser extent, can both attack. So that being the case, I wanted to try out Burnt Tower just because if Rayquaza goes down, your fire energy and lightning go to the discard pile anyway. Your lightning's probably already there because you attacked. But when Rayquaza goes down, the fire energy goes there, and you don't have Dynamotor to get the fire energy back on the field. So instead of having to Super Rod and just pray that you draw into it, Burnt Tower, while it's a coin flip, and that, let me emphasize, that is a coin flip, Burnt Tower gives you the option of just immediately getting that back into your hand, and statistically speaking, in 2 turns, you should be able to get at least 1 fire energy immediately back into your hand. Like, again, statistically speaking, doesn't always work out that way, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, that's why I think that Burnt Tower, even though I'm only running a single copy, is something that you should definitely give a shot in a Ray-EELS deck. And so my question of the day is, what stadium do you guys think is the best for Ray-EELS, and why? Do you think it's Burnt Tower? Do you think it's Skyla Bridge? Do you think it's Tropical Beach, or do you think it is something that I haven't even mentioned yet? Let me know in the comment section down below. Actually, very curious to hear what you guys have experience with, what your guys' thoughts are, etc., etc. But anyway, onto the deck. This is very, very straightforward. This is Ray Eels. I've covered this before. The combination of Rayquaza with Dragon Burst being able to hit for 60 times the amount of energy you discard with it, and of course having the Eelektrik with Dynamotor, you really just attach a bunch of energy to Rayquaza, Dragon Burst, and then Dynamotor energy back onto Rayquaza so that you can Dragon Burst again. The ideal Dragon Burst is getting rid of 3 Lightning energy so that you are hitting for 180, which in most instances is enough to one-hit KO. Actually, without any damage modifiers, it will KO all EXs in the Legacy game. And keep in mind, when I say damage modifiers, I even include HP modifiers, like with Aspertia City Gym and Tornadus, for example. So that's really just straightforward, and then the other attackers are just kind of tech mons for certain situations. I'll go through each one of them one by one as we go, but obviously 3 Rayquaza, because Rayquaza is the main attacker. If your opponent knocks out 3, they win the game, yada yada yada. And also, one thing that you can kind of do is Celestial Roar, where you discard the top 3 cards of your deck and attach them to Rayquaza if they are energy cards. I never use this attack. I actually have never used it once when I've been playing with Ray Eels, just because all of the resources are so precious in this deck that you don't just want to potentially discard them. Yeah, you can have the potential to get an energy on Rayquaza, but just the resources that you could discard in the process are just way too valuable, especially because you're going to get lightning from the discard pile through acceleration from Eelektrik anyway, so I just don't find Celestial Roar to be worth it. However, you can use it if you're in a situation where you're like, okay, I have no other choice, I have to. A tech copy of Victini with V-Create for a fire and a colorless. You can hit for 100, and you can only hit if you have a full bench. Well, this deck rarely, if ever, doesn't have a full bench. 1 Raikou for particularly sniping out Garbodor, which otherwise shut this deck down completely. Yeah, we do run Tool Scrapper and Junk Arm, but that's just kind of a temporary fix, whereas Raikou is just kind of like, yeah, screw your Garbodor, it's dead. 4/4 of Tynamo Electric, absolute max number, because even though we won't get out 4, we want to get as many as possible as quickly as possible. 1 Zekrom, just the baby Zekrom for Bolt Strike, just being able to have a non-EX attacker along with Victini that can knock out Sigilif. 1 copy of Mr. Mime for bench sniping so that Landorus doesn't just run train on us, and 2 copies of Keldeo because Rush In and Retreat is essential for reloading up a single Rayquaza if you're not able to switch around them. As for the items, have a single Computer Search as the A-Spec of choice, because this deck relies a lot on setting up, and A-Spec just allows you the ability to do that very, very quickly. 1 Energy Search, only because we rely so much on the fire and we're only running 4 fire in the deck, so Energy Search can just be a nice way of being like, okay, I need that 1 fire, I have plenty of lightning that I've had access to, let's just go ahead and grab that. 4 Junk Arm, absolute max number, because even though I said this deck's resources are very precious, it doesn't inherently mind discarding cards, just because it really likes discarding lightning energy. But you have to be very specific, whereas Celestial Storm discards without regard for the rest of your deck, or discards indiscriminately. There we go, that's the word I was looking for. You can be more selective with Junk Arm and Computer Search and Ultra Ball, so that's why we don't mind it. 2 Level Ball and 3 Ultra Ball as the methods of search, just because, I mean, Tynamo and Eelektrik, and also Victini and Mr. Mime can be sought out with Level Ball. 1 Reversal, this is a personal choice just because I don't like my opponent ever feeling like they can bench something safely. I always want it to have it in the back of their mind, like, okay, maybe I can't just play this Jirachi down, maybe it will get reversaled up, and just maybe it can affect some of their plays later in the game. 2 Random Receivers, mainly so Junk Arm can turn into a supporter. 1 Super Rod to recur mainly Rayquaza energy and also Tynamos or Electrics that get knocked out. Single copy of Switch, just, you know, to switch and get out of potential Hypnotoxic Laser shenanigans if Keldeo happens to be left active. 1 Tool Scrapper specifically for Garbodor, but also for Silver Bangle in a pinch. Then 3 Ultra Ball and a single copy of Burnt Tower, maybe more than 1, but I don't know. I've been testing in 1, just kind of seems sufficient for when I need it. As for the supporters, running 2-3 of the Shuffle Draw supporters in N and Oak, but we're also running a copy of Colress, because considering that we usually have a full bench, like this deck more often than not has a full bench, like I said, hence why we can run Victini. Colress is great for just being like, okay, well, my opponent benched more than one Mon. Well, now I have a Shuffle Draw 7 that is very, very strong. We don't want to rely on it too much, that's why there's only a single copy. However, Colress 410 is absolutely devastating in the late game and really can almost set you up to have everything you need. Single copy of Pokemon Collector just in case we happen to draw into it turn 1. I mean, it's not like super important, but it is nice for just being like, okay, well, turn 1, I'm able to get Tynamo, or 2 Tynamo, and a Rayquaza onto my bench immediately, or Keldeo, or whatever combination you decide you want. And if you're not able to get that first turn, then you can always just use it as discard fodder for like Junk Arm or Ultra Ball to Juniper, because sometimes you just can't match that 7 cards that you get off of Juniper. Single copy of Skyla in case we need to like support her for the energy search or support her for the computer search, just something like that. 2 Eviolite, because this deck hits hard enough anyway, we don't really need to like boost the damage output much, so Eviolite just gives our Rayquazas a little bit more longevity. 2 Float Stones for mainly Keldeo, but also on anything else. 4 Fire, because we don't really discard the Fire, and then 7 Lightning, because that is really the engine that gets this deck going. So yeah, I've talked for way too long, let's just go ahead and see this deck in action. I knew it was a bad idea, and 7 minutes and 38 seconds later, we finally have a game. I was thinking that, okay, maybe we'll get one relatively quickly, but no, this just shows me exactly why I don't try to record on the Legacy ladder all that much. And we end up starting off with a Tynamo, which, honestly, this hand isn't bad. I'm hoping that, okay, so my opponent's gonna mulligan. Really hoping we can get, like, Ultra Balls or something like that. How many times did my opponent mulligan? 3 times. And there is an Umbreon Prime. Ladies and gentlemen, we're against an Umbreon Prime. That is amazing. That is the one card that, the one Prime rather, that I've just kind of given up on ever trying to do a deck with, but my opponent has it, so that is amazing. And unfortunately, really don't have a whole lot that I can play, so what I'm going to do is play down my Victini. At least I got that, so I can play the Fire Energy onto it and not just waste it. Play down the Burnt Tower, and then just Juniper away my hand, maybe get a couple more Tynamo or something like that, and I actually get a Tynamo and a Rayquaza, which is great. We see we're up against a Dark deck with Sableye and Absol. I'm thinking that it should be in my best interest at this point to just go ahead and, yeah, I'm not gonna waste my Float Stone just yet. I'm gonna play that next turn, because what I'm thinking is, because we see the Sableye, there is a very good chance that my opponent has Hypnotoxic Laser, which would be very much less than ideal, and I also didn't want to play the Mime down in case he wasn't running Darkrai, but okay, let's be real, it's a Dark deck, of course he's running Darkrai, so really just should have played the Mime down. We see the Float Stone onto the Darkrai. That's, I mean, interesting, but I guess my opponent was ending anyway and just figured, okay, well, might as well just not lose it, which is less than ideal, but it's okay at the same time, I think. He is going to Dark Patch onto the Darkrai, and unfortunately Victini only has 70 HP, which means that even through the Eviolite, I will still get knocked out by a Night Spear, and what I end up getting end into is actually my Mr. Mime again. It's kind of, I figure that's the game's way of saying, hey idiot, play it down. You forgot to play it down last turn. You should play it down this turn. And I'm just like, okay, fine, I'm sorry. But my opponent is going to go ahead and Junk Hunt, probably immediately grab that Computer Search back. I mean, I can't imagine why you would not. And yeah, grabs the Computer Search in the Dark Patch, and we do see that there's a Darkness in the discard pile, so that makes 100% sense. And, ooh, I actually get an Ultra Ball. So this works, because what I can do I want to try to grab a Keldeo? If I want to grab a Keldeo, then this should play out differently, but I think I might just, I think for the sake of this game, I might just not use a Keldeo and just see how that goes. Like, just kind of wait for something to get knocked out so that I can, yeah, so that I can have that bench spot. And then what I'm going to do is just go ahead and attach to the active Tynamo, because with evolving my benched Electric, or my benched Tynamo into an Electric, now when I retreat out, actually I have the Dynamotor already because I I got rid of 2 lightning energy first turn, but now I can go ahead and manually retreat out my active Tynamo as opposed to having the 2 energy retreat cost of electric, and now I can evolve it and just start dynamotoring onto my Rayquaza more than likely, and I will have a 3rd electric next turn if I'm able to evolve this one. I mean, with the hand that I have fire energy, I have enough for multiple electric, and I will be able to one-shot this Sableye with Victini's V-Create and take a prize, and it's my 4th fire energy. So you might be thinking that this is actually an amazing setup, and okay, it is, let's be real. I have 3 electric out, I have a Mr. Mime to prevent Darkrai from bench sniping. Even Burnt Tower, I can get a fire energy back later in the game if I want. Which, honestly, that's why I love Burnt Tower over Tropical Beach. I mean, I do have a couple Tropical Beaches, and I mean, I definitely 1,000,000,000% see why you run Tropical Beach. But I don't know. I just kind of prefer Burnt Tower because of the ability to almost instantaneously recover the fire energy that are so insanely important for Rayquaza and Victini. And yeah, I know you have the Super Rods and whatnot, but then you still have to draw into, I don't know, I'm a big fan of Burnt Tower in Rayquaza Victini, and hopefully I'll be able to show you guys why. I mean, like, obviously you can see that it's there, and you can see me with the potential to recover fire energy, but like, normally discarding fire energy is a huge deal. Like, it's definitely not something you want to do, as my opponent actually will end up knocking me out with a Mind Jack. Hashtag unfortunate right there. But what I can do is actually promote... I can actually promote this Rayquaza because I do have another Rayquaza in my hand. It would have been kind of interesting to try to figure out how to get this next turn to play out because you can only Dynamotor onto the bench. But even though I could grab a Keldeo, and I could kind of go for that, I think I'm just going to go ahead and grab another Rayquaza. I can always just discard... I can always just manually retreat out my active Rayquaza with a lightning energy, and at least this way, my manual attachment that has to go onto a Rayquaza anyway for the fire energy. Let's see if I can get it back. No, I cannot. That's unfortunate right there, but it's not the end of the world. So what I'm going to be able to do is double Dynamotor onto my Rayquaza on the bench, manually retreat out my active one, and then just Dynamotor that energy right back onto it. So yeah, I still will get my 3 Dynamotors per turn, and like basically what happened was that, like, net energy, I still retained all of it, and I do get an Eviolite too, so that's pretty nice. So let's go ahead and manually retreat out into my Rayquaza. Eviolite up the benched... No. Yes. No. Yeah, let's Eviolite up the bench one, because the one that's in the active is going to be retreating out anyway. So it's just kind of better for me to go ahead and Eviolite up the bench one. He has nothing that can really attack this coming turn, and so I'm thinking that the bench Rayquaza will be the one that has to take a hit as opposed to the active one. And I am able to knock out the Absol with a Dragon Burst and get a couple Lightning into the discard pile. And now, hopefully next turn, I can draw into my... Yeah, hopefully next turn I can Burnt Tower into my other Fire Energy. And if not, then I just have to manually retreat anyway. But I don't have a draw supporter, which really... Honestly, because my opponent's just running a random Dark deck, like, it seems to be random. I mean, yeah, there's a bunch of Umbreons in there. I guess it's kind of a... I mean, they're trying. They are trying to get Umbreon Prime to work, which I have insane amounts of respect for. Like, if you are able to get Umbreon Prime to work, then I tip my frickin' hat to you, dude, because that card is awful. Like, yeah, it's just really, really bad. And its ability isn't even a guaranteed thing. Like, I could see it with, like, Vilify Weavile. But yeah, Umbreon Prime's just awful. Like, it really is awful. It'd be one thing if its attack did 20 more for every evolution on the field, because then you could get up to like 130, 160 with a Silver Bangle, and then with Laser Bank you can hit that magic 180, so you can one-hit knock out some EXs, but nope, it is only 10 extra damage for each evolution, and that's just not good. That's not cutting it. So what I'm going to do is go for the Burnt Tower. I actually hit it, which is honestly gorgeous. I mean, that means I'm going to be able to attack this turn. And then let's just go ahead and Dynamotor onto this Rayquaza. I need 2, unfortunately, to knock out the Sableye, and now I have to get rid of my Fire Energy in order to manually retreat. And like you're seeing where the Keldeo comes in, but I mean, for those of you that know the game know that, duh, this is obviously where Keldeo helps out with. But I don't know, the fact that I never have to worry about Mr. Mime, or I never have to worry about Darkrai sniping down my electrics is kind of nice. Oh, and I will be able to Junk Arm for... Actually, what do I want to Junk Arm for? Maybe just another Eviolite? I might just want to do that. I could... Yeah, I definitely could go for... Definitely could go for the... Actually, I could Tool Scrapper. No, but I'm just going to grab the Eviolite. What am I trying to say? I completely forgot what I was saying. I was saying I could go for something. I was saying something before that. Either way, hopefully I'll be able to Burnt Tower next turn. I mean, I have a Colress in my hand, which is gorgeous. I'll be able to take a prize, and I will just be able to get rid of both of the lightnings on my Rayquaza. And hopefully, I think what I was trying to say is hopefully I'll be able to draw into a Fire Energy this coming turn, because otherwise I won't be able to attack. And I get an Ultra Ball, which honestly doesn't... Oops, smack the table again. Man, I'm just smacking the table all the time lately. Hopefully, I will be able to draw into a Fire Energy, or Burnt Tower is able to come through for me. But I'm not in a bad position, actually. Because, I mean, Darkrai comes up. That means it's not going to get powered up with, like, Dark Patch or anything like that. I can manually retreat my Rayquaza out this coming turn. Is that what I want to do? Because I keep getting rid of the Fire Energies on Rayquaza in order to retreat, which is not ideal. Team Rocket's Trickery. Draw 2 cards and your opponent discards. Well, very glad that I drew that Ultra Ball off my prizes, or just a card off my prizes, so I don't have to get rid of my Colress. That is very, very lucky for me. We see the catcher. Ooh, that's unfortunate. Hopefully I can draw into my Float Stones that are still floating around in my deck. Pun intended. Ha, I'm so funny. Oh, geez, I need sleep. But either way, my opponent is going to play down an Eevee. What's he going to Ultra Ball for? Maybe another Umbreon? Maybe another... Yeah, another Umbreon. I don't even know what this Umbreon does, but I mean, it really doesn't... Honestly, I'm not too worried about the Umbreons because I am 2 Rayquazas and 3 Electrics set up with 3 prizes left, and he has no way of one-shotting me. Meanwhile, I can one-shot basically everything on his team, and now I will be able to get a 10-card Colress off of that. And would you look at that? I just top deck right into a Floatstone. All right, Burnt Tower come through. Yes, thank you very much. So able to get that Fire Energy onto my Rayquaza, and yeah, Burnt Tower is very, very much coming through. I was about to say Burnt Tower is very coming through. I is good at English. But yeah, Burnt Tower is very much coming through, which, quite frankly, I appreciate the heck out of in this game. Like, I'm very glad that I'm able to show you guys this, because for those of you that have been watching Legacy recently, actually, in the past, like 6, even longer, maybe in the past year, I haven't done much Legacy on just the ladder. I have exclusively done it with Henry because I'm able to really quality control those games, make sure that those games are good, and that I'm able to, yeah, like make sure the games are good and make sure that I'm able to show off what I need to with the deck and not just against a bunch of hodgepodge decks. So I was very torn because Henry's very busy. Do not blame the guy at all. I mean, I'm insanely busy too, and we have 2 insanely busy people trying to schedule together. Well, that does not leave a whole lot of time for both, well, that both of you share in order to be able to play this Pokemon thing. But yeah, either way, I just decided to jump on the ladder and see how it's going, and I'm actually very pleased. I tried recording this, I think it was yesterday. It's either yesterday or a couple of days ago. Everything's blending together at this point, and I just got nothing. Like, I was legitimately sitting at my computer for a half hour, joining, or like unjoining and rejoining the ladder, unlook, relook for games. It just was not happening. So I was getting pretty frustrated, like, okay, come on. I know that there are Legacy games out there. I know that there are people that want to play Legacy, but I just could not find them at all. So I'm actually very pleased that this game is going, this ladder game is going as well as it is. And ooh, I even get a switch, so I don't even have to... Yeah, I don't even have to discard, even though I could. Definitely could. But now that I have the Fire Energies on Rayquaza, and I'm able... Like, I have a Fire Energy on both of them, so this way I'm able to manually attach a Lightning Energy for the retreat as opposed to the Fire Energy. Like, this is going beautifully. I don't even need the Keldeo. I mean, I have the 2 Keldeos, and Keldeo would definitely be helpful. But, yeah, you're seeing that you don't always need Keldeo. Keldeo's nice, but it's not always necessary because of the 1 retreat cost for Rayquaza. And another thing, you could definitely run Sky Arrow. There's multiple different stadiums that you can run in Rayquaza and Ray Eels. You can run Tropical Beach and Sky Arrow, both of whom I've seen used to great effect and have been very, very successful. But I really, really like Burnt Tower just because of its ability to recur those fire energy instantaneously. Like, I mean, yeah, it's a coin flip, but there are times where you can literally just be like, okay, fire energy back into my hand. Nope, not back into the deck, just immediately back into my hand without having the potential drawback of having to put lightning back into the deck. So, yeah, I mean, just very glad that this was able to show what Burnt Tower was able to do in bringing back those fire energy. That way I didn't have to worry about discarding them to manually retreat. I could just be like, okay, that's fine. Like, I can work with that. That's definitely okay. And he will Evo Blast me for, with a Dark Claw, he did 80 through my Eviolite. And what I was going to do was just kind of go for the overkill of the century, just put a crap load of energy onto my bench Rayquaza. I think I would have been able to get, like, I probably would have been able to get, I forgot how much was on there, because if there was 3 on there, then I would have been able to get 1 manual attachment and 3 more Dynamotors, which would have been 420 damage. Yeah, I would have been able to hit the Umbreon for 420 damage and definitely knock it out. Knock out like 6 of them. Actually, no, like 4 of them. I think it had 100 HP. I don't know. Umbreon Prime is my favorite Prime because it's so bad, but I mean, it just showed you, like, he had 3 Umbreon on the field and a Dark Claw. And yes, admittedly, I did have the... Admittedly, I had my Eviolite, so it would have done 100 damage without the Eviolite, but, like, if you get set up to that extent and you're only able to hit for 100 damage, like, that's not nearly good enough. But either way, I'm going to end it there. It's a little bit shorter, so I do apologize, but I hope you guys enjoyed watching nonetheless. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and this is Styx signing out. Why not? See you guys.